Well, the official clock in the back says 5:28, but every other clock in the world says 5:30, so I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. All right. Well, we now have a quorum. Jen, you got everything you need? All right. Let's talk about the minutes, item A. Well, before we actually talk about that, we are going to have one additional business item, item 4E, which is a resolution for a TIF district. And we'll get to that at the tail end here. Let's start with approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on June 26th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to,
You got it. I'll second.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 26th.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we got few items of business today. We're going to public hearing that we're going to kick it off with. And then under the business, we've got a variance request, a final plat, and a consideration for an extension of a conditional use permit. Or a variance. So we'll probably bump that one up just a little bit given who's in attendance. Before I kick off the public hearing, a couple of ground rules I just want to go over. There's a lot of you here tonight. We're going to start off with a report from Larry. He'll go through the details, in addition, the staff recommendation, as well as he's going to read into the public record, a letter from the DNR. And then after that, there'll be an opportunity for each of you to come up and speak. Because of the number of people we have, I'm going to put a 2-minute limit on your comments, but all of you are welcome and encouraged to come up and speak to the commission. Andrew here will be our timer as well, so he'll give you a little heads up as you're getting close to that 2-minute mark. And from there, then I'll close the public hearing once everyone's had an opportunity to say what they want to say, and the commission will discuss. Question?
Yes, Jack is gonna be speaking for the group, so if he could have more than 2 minutes so that he can kind of cover it, and then I don't know if any of the rest of us will even have comments after that.
Okay, I'm fine with that. All right, that works. Thank you very much. All right, with that, I will call to order a public hearing to give consideration to a variance to allow 16 boat slips instead of 6 boat slips at 1897 Bridgeview Boulevard, Bridgeview Estates Shared Lot and Dock Association. Larry.
Yes, the Bridgeview Estates Dock Association has requested a variance to allow a dock with up to 16 boat slips at 1897 Bridgeview Boulevard. The current controlled access lot is a legal, non-conforming use and is only allowed 6 slips based on the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends denial of the requested variance as the applicant has not demonstrated that they have a practical difficulty that would justify the requested variance. They want more slips than their property allows, and they have not demonstrated that there are circumstances unique to their property that would require the requested variance. The applicant has submitted the following statements in support of their request. Number 1, in your opinion, is the variance in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance? Yes. The proposed variance maintains the harmony of Kerfman Lake's existing and conditional recreational residential use by residents of Bridgeview Estates, permitted by both the ordinance and city's comprehensive plan. The ordinance provides for use of boat slips, which was for 13 original residents, but then upgraded to 26 without further consideration of boat slip allotment. The variance request is also in harmony with all other non-commercial marinas that serve well over 50% of their respective communities. Number 2, in your opinion, is the variance consistent with the comprehensive plan? Again, they answer yes. The proposed variance maintains the harmony of Kerfman Lake's existing and continued recreational and residential use by the residents of Bridgeview Estates, permitted by both the ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Specifically, a de facto look at Kerfman Lake shows that the lake has 2 existing multiple slip marinas located along with numerous residential dock slips and lifts. As the city advised, residential lots enjoy unlimited dock and slip use with no restriction, all of which demonstrates the requested use is in harmony with and conforms to and is compatible with current uses permitted under the ordinance and comprehensive plan. This is consistent with the comprehensive plan as long as we agree on the number of boat slips, 13 to 16, with the understanding there will be no further requests or variance moving forward. Number 3, in your opinion, does the proposal put the property to use in a reasonable manner? Yes. The applicant proposes to use the property in a consistent and reasonable manner already permitted by the ordinance and plan. This request for additional slips serves a reasonable residential need, particularly where the number of housing units, 26, far exceeds the number of permitted slips, 6. Further, expanded dockage for additional slips will not interfere with the natural shoreline or vegetation buffer. The requested variance in dock design maintains reasonable expectations for shared lot access and use by residents, taxpayers, and the request for 13 to 16 slips for 26 residents/taxpayers is not unreasonable. There will never be fueling or fuel storage permitted on the access lot or dockage, and to our knowledge, there is no demonstrated environmental harm. This proposal will utilize the property in a more reasonable manner by allowing more residents/taxpayers to use the marina and preserve the open green space of the 33,000 square foot shared lot. Number 4, in your opinion, are there circumstances unique to the property? The applicant answers yes. The ordinance states the minimum square footage needed is 15,000 square feet. Actually, the 15,000 square feet is the requirement for Detroit Lake. The requirement for Kerfman Lake is 20,000 square feet, but again, their lot is 33,000 square feet, which is far in excess of the required size. B, the Bridgeview Estates developers initially planned for 13 residential homes on 13 lots when allotted 6 boat slips. It then expanded to 26 homes on 13 lots. All 26 owners share lot access and pay property taxes on it. However, the developers failed to address the need for more boat slips for its 26 owners. C, Kerfman Lake residents have a unique hardship of access to the lake. Water levels from mid to late June usually prevent pontoons from navigating under Long Bridge. This was also the case for most of 2024. Since there is no public access on Kerfman Lake, we cannot enjoy the lake we live on when the water levels are high. D, by restricting the Bridgeview Estates residents to 6 boat slips, you are requiring our senior residents to always store, then trailer and transport their boats or pontoons to the public landing, launch, pull and retrailer the boats, and then transport them and return to storage for each use. The Bridgeview residents and access lot owners believe this is a unique and unreasonable hardship circumstance supporting issuance of the requested variance. E, although Bridgeview Estates is not formally a 55 and over development, the development and access lot have been owned and used by those over age 55 since its inception in 2001. Economics suggest it will remain a retirement community for the foreseeable future. Therefore, single-day use via South Shore Landing works a unique hardship circumstance on Bridgeview's senior community. Number 5, in your opinion, will the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? The applicant answers yes. The variance will actually increase the essential character of the locality by maintaining its green space with no clutter. This will also enhance the extended This will also enhance the extended locality by eliminating additional congestion around South Shore Drive boat landing. The total number of slips will not exceed that permitted under the variance, 13 to 16. All slips will be seasonal and removed at the end of each season. The existing shoreline and vegetative buffer will be maintained, and no fueling or fuel storage, waste disposal, or pump-out facilities will be permitted. In short, the proposed variance will enhance and maintain the character for the locality and will be consistent with the ordinance and the comprehensive plan. 13 to 16 boat slips is the range we are seeking. We recognize there is not a reasonable enough space to exceed 16 slips. 16 slips would serve 61% of our residents/taxpayers. Following now is the city's findings in response to the applicant's answers and statements. First, the requested variance does not meet the requirements to be granted a variance based on the following findings. Number one, the variance requested is not in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance. When controlled access lots were allowed, the only way to add additional slips was to enlarge the lot size by adding 15% to the lot width and the lot area. A controlled access lot allowing 6 slips was required to be 75 feet wide and 20,000 square feet. Another slip could only be added if the lot was increased by 11.25 feet in width and 3,000 square feet. These regulations were designed to prevent overcrowding of the lake and shoreline with docks and watercraft. In 2018, the city amended its shoreland regulations and eliminated controlled access lots in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Such lots are now a legal, non-conforming use and should not be enlarged or expanded. There are other controlled access lots on the lake that would also be interested in having more slips. For example, 1744 East Shore Drive, Pembina Trails Beach Club has 17 members and only 6 slips. 516 Shorewood Drive has 25 owners and only 8 slips. These only serve a fraction of the owners. Number 2, the variance is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan states that the purpose of the shoreland ordinance is to preserve and enhance the quality of surface water, conserve the economic and natural environmental value of shorelands, and provide for the wise use of water and related resources. The City Council has determined that no additional controlled access boat slips are permitted, so adding more to the existing controlled access lot is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. Number 3, the applicant does not propose to put the property to use in a reasonable manner. The requested variance would enlarge a use that is no longer permitted by the zoning ordinance. Additional slips will allow more motorized boat traffic on Kerfman Lake and will potentially disturb important fish spawning areas. When Golden Bay Shores was developed, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources required all motorized boat slips for this development to be located on Detroit Lake. Motorized boat slips were not allowed on Kerfman Lake. This was done to protect the fish spawning areas. Adding more slips for motorized boats is not reasonable given the past actions with regard to motorized boat slips to prevent overuse of the lake and degradation of fish spawning areas. I have 5 letters that the DNR wrote back in 1997 when Golden Bay Shores was being developed, and they all urged the city to protect the fish spawning areas and offered numerous suggestions about how that could be accomplished. Also, there's a 2009 agreement that the city has regarding Golden Bay Shores that allows them to have 28 motorized boat slips on Detroit Lake and no motorized boat slips on Kerfman Lake. Number 4, the circumstances are not unique to the property. This property is a standard controlled access lot and does not have any unusual features that make it difficult to meet the standard of allowing 6 boat slips. The fact that there are more owners with a fractional interest in the property who wish to have a boat slip is a problem created by the owners and is not unique to the property. In fact, there are other controlled access lots on the lake that are similarly situated and with more members and owners than available slips. And again, I mentioned 1744 East Shore Drive and 516 Shorewood Drive. The fact that twin homes were built and created a situation where 26 owners of the access lot instead of 13, it was also created by the property owners and is not a practical difficulty associated with the lot. Number 5, the variance does not maintain the essential character of the neighborhood, as adding additional slips will alter the aesthetic of the area. A dock with 6 slips is entirely different than a marina with 16 slips. A 16-slip marina would either cover more shoreline or extend further into the lake and would not be aesthetically pleasing to the neighbors and lake users. Again, based on the findings stated in this report, staff recommends denial of the requested variance. There is no practical difficulty shown that would provide legal justification for approving the requested variance. And then you wanted me to read the letter into the record that we received from the DNR.
Yes, please.
This letter that we received from the DNR arrived around noon today. This is from Roger Hempel of the DNR. Members of the Detroit Lakes Planning Commission, thank you for the opportunity to comment on this application requesting an increase to watercraft storage on the controlled access that is part of Bridgeview Estates. My comments and recommendation are based on an evaluation of the facts presented in the application received on June 18th by the City of Detroit Lakes against the criteria in Minnesota Statute 462.357. Based on this evaluation, the DNR recommends denial of the variance. Summary of the variance request. The applicant has requested a variance to increase the number of mooring spaces from 6 to 16 spaces on the controlled access lot for Bridgeview Estates. Controlled access lots are prohibited by the City of Detroit Lakes' current zoning ordinance. Reviewing the city's previous ordinance shows the number of slips allowed at the time of platting Bridgeview Estates allow only 6 slips on a controlled access lot of the size designed for the plat. The requested 16 spaces would be 10 more spaces than was allowed, a significant deviation of 167%. Evaluation criteria and approach. The role of the City of Detroit Lakes Planning Commission is to objectively evaluate whether the submitted facts meet the statutory criteria for approving a variance. Under Minnesota Statute 462.357, variances can only be approved when they are in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning code and when they are consistent with the comprehensive plan. Specifically, variances can only be granted when the applicant proves there are practical difficulties in complying with the zoning code. State law only allows variances if all 3 practical difficulties criteria are met. First, there are unique circumstances to the property not created by the landowner. Second, the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the ordinance. And 3, granting the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality. If any of these criteria are not met, then the variance must be denied. State law also does not allow approving variances solely for financial reasons. The decision to approve or deny a variance requires rational explanation based on facts, not on proposed conditions of approval. Conditions may be considered, but only after a decision is made to approve. Additionally, opinions of support or opposition without supporting evidence from neighbors or the public are not facts and should not be considered. This property is in the shoreland of a public water, an area that the state has identified as a sensitive area where special laws are needed to protect scenic character, aquatic and riparian vegetation, habitat, and to reduce the flow of nutrients to surface waters, preventing excessive algae and plant growth, to maintain the safe recreational opportunities. This context is critical for properly evaluating the facts against the practical difficulties criteria, whether the Planning Commission is deciding or a district court is reviewing such a decision on appeal. Analysis of facts and recommendations. The Planning Commission should deny this variance because 1, there are no unique circumstances of the property not created by the property owner. Unique circumstances are physical characteristics of the land, such as lot shape, lot dimension, and buildable area, that are compared to other nearby shore properties. Personal matters unrelated to the property, such as family needs, design preference, and financial considerations, are not unique circumstances. The applicant states the ordinance states the minimum square footage needed is 15,000 square feet. Our controlled access lot is 33,000 square feet, which is more than double what is required. This is incorrect. Kerfman Lake is a recreational development lake, so the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet and the minimum width of 75 feet. If the controlled access lot had been sized for 16 slips, it would have been a lot 65,000 square feet and 263 feet wide per the previous ordinance. The applicant states the Bridgeview Estates developers initially planned for 13 residential homes on 13 lots when allotted 6 boat slips. It then expanded to 26 homes on 13 lots. All 26 owners share lot access and pay property taxes on it. However, the developers failed to address the need for more boat slips for its 26 owners. During the time of the development, the developer did have the option to create a controlled access lot sized to allow for increased boat storage on the access lot, but chose a different design. As stated by the applicant, all owners in the development do have access to Kerfman Lake via the controlled access lot. They just don't have the ability to store watercraft on the controlled access lot. The applicant states, Kerfman Lake residents have a unique hardship of access to the lake. Water levels from mid to late June usually prevent pontoons from navigating under Long Bridge. This was also the case for most of 2024. Since there's no public access on Kerfman Lake, we cannot enjoy the lake we live on when the water levels are high. Navigation between two basins is not guaranteed. As stated above, all 26 owners in the development have been granted access to Kerfman Lake. The applicant states, by restricting the Bridgeview Estates residents/taxpayers to 6 boat slips, you are requiring our senior residents to always store, then trailer and transport their boats and pontoons to public landing, launch, pull, and retrailer the boats, then transport and return them to storage for each use. The Bridgeview residents and access lot owners believe this is a unique and unreasonable hardship circumstance supporting issuance of the requested variance. It also stated, although Bridgeview Estates is not formally a 55 and over development, the development and access lot have been owned and used by those over age 55 since its inception in 2001. Economics suggest it will remain a retirement community for the foreseeable future. Therefore, single-day use via South Shore Landing works a unique hardship circumstance on Bridgeview's senior community. These statements, though may be currently true, are not facts that establish unique circumstances or negate the determination of unique circumstances based on facts. There is nothing that makes this property physically unique from other similar shoreland properties or to justify the increase of nonconformity with current standards when others must comply. If this property is entitled to a variance, there is no reason why any other similar property would not be entitled to a variance. Granting a variance, therefore, undermines the purpose of the shoreland regulations. In fact, the problem is due to preferences and financial concerns. The property owner does not propose to use the property in a reasonable manner given the purpose of the state legislation. This criterion is about what is reasonable given the purpose of the ordinance, not what is reasonable to the property owner. Variance requests should only be the minimum necessary to achieve the purpose of the ordinance. The purpose of limiting the number of mooring spaces is to minimize impacts on lake ecology by protecting fish and fish habitat in the nearshore aquatic area. Kerfman Lake has been identified as a critical fish and wildlife habitat numerous times as the development of the shore has been proposed in past. Large docks with many mooring spaces shade out aquatic plants and eliminate habitat critical for fish spawning, feeding, and refuge from predators. Limiting mooring spaces also protects water quality by limiting the number of motorized watercraft. Propellers in shallow areas disturb sediment, increase turbidity, and release phosphorus, which along with warming waters accelerates algae growth. The applicant has not demonstrated why it is necessary to increase the number of mooring spaces further over the allowed limit. The variance will alter the essential character of the area. Essential character is about how the resulting structure, improvement, or land/water disturbance will alter hydrology, nutrient flow into waters, soil stability, vegetation, habitat, shoreland character, or be out of scale with the capacity of the land and water resource to tolerate the impacts.
Excuse me, Larry. Could I ask you guys to keep comments and conversation to a minimum? If you need to have a conversation, please feel free to step out.
The variance will significantly increase the number of mooring spaces over the existing number. The expansion of dock facilities will significantly increase the visual impacts of this shoreland area. Furthermore, the lake ecology in the shoreline area will be significantly altered, even if human eyes don't notice it. Kerfman Lake has already been identified as an area providing critical habitat for fish ranging from panfish to muskies and habitat for waterfowl and other wildlife. Protecting the critical contributions to local fish and wildlife of the near shore of Kerfman Lake has been considered and protected in the past in regards to development decisions of the city. Conclusion, the facts do not support a decision to approve and show that the design preferences and/or financial concerns are driving the variance request. A decision to approve the variance would therefore be arbitrary and capricious. The DNR recommends denial.
All right, thank you, Larry. That was a mouthful, but you've heard it. All right, now I would invite public comment. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and, well, I guess address. Yep.
First of all, I'm really disappointed. I met with Larry in person, and Larry assured me that I would have all the information that I needed ahead of this meeting. And I have absolutely zero knowledge of this DNR report. I don't care if it came in at noon today, I really don't. And I apologize for being rattled, because I am very rattled right now. I feel like I was kind of stabbed. So we're not in a position with, okay, secondly, I couldn't hear a word. I'm a little bit disadvantaged with my hearing aid, so I apologize. I kept asking my wife, what's being said, what's being said? So she told me that it's a DNR report that came in at noon. That's all I even know. I couldn't hear a word.
I'll, I'm gonna give you, I have a paper copy that I don't need. You can have that copy.
I do want to point out that I did forward the staff report to Jack. I just want to point out that I did forward the staff report to you.
Yes, I got the staff
report, but it Okay,
made
and that's-
anything of a DNR report.
No, I understand that, but this is a public hearing. This is when all of the information is provided. You aren't necessarily entitled to hear all of the information or get all of that prior to the meeting. All you do get is the staff report.
Pardon me?
All you do get is the staff report of what we're recommending.
That I got from you when we met, so maybe I made a mistake.
Well, yeah, I don't know where you got that impression.
Okay,
because I
so,
would not give
I'm
that
gonna
impression to anybody.
Said to me was that, I will let you know what
Mr. French,
we find out.
I'm just gonna draw the conversation back to the conversation at hand. We cannot change the past, but if you could
I just don't
address
know,
the issue, yeah.
I just don't know if I feel like I'm in the position right now to even proceed with a rebuttal to the staff report on the variance, okay? I mean, I can go forward with that, but I don't know if I'm wasting my time based on this. And then the other thing that conflicts with this is I put a phone call into the DNR myself, and they told me 100% absolutely zero jurisdiction or whatever, that it was 100% governed by the city of Detroit Lakes. And it is the city of Detroit Lakes' decision to do anything there. So it's just conflicting with what I was told. And it, you know, that kind of frustrates me too. That gets me a little bit rattled too. What I would like to do, if you don't mind, kind of compose myself a little bit, but I'd like to meet with a couple of our other residents that we've kind of worked on this together and chat for 5 minutes and come back. Would you be able to like maybe go to the next thing on the agenda and then let me come back and chat?
Yeah, unless there's an objection from the planning commission, we can suspend the public hearing and reopen it. And we can accomplish some of our other business and then reopen
Okay.
the public hearing.
Okay,
Are you comfortable with that? Does anyone have any objections to that? Okay, then we will suspend the public hearing and reopen it after we complete our other business.
okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. I'll give you guys a moment to step out if you need.
This could have technically, he could have showed up and read it, and none of us would have been prepared, right? He just happened to write it, so that, okay, that's what I was, that's what I thought.
All right. Okay, well, with that, we'll move on to business here. Let's start with 4A, consideration to request for a variance to allow a setback of less than 30 feet for construction of an attached 40 by 30-foot garage at 600 Shorewood Drive for Sam Larson. Do you gentlemen want to come up?
Okay, this particular request was before the board before.
Yep.
It was for a 14-foot.
Larry, can you talk in, we're not hearing you.
I guess you have to swallow this thing to make it work, but anyway,
It's normally Kelsey's voice, so.
okay. Well, this is a request that was before us last month for a 14-foot setback with a 30 by 40-foot garage. And the council sent it back to the planning commission for further review. They suggested that we look at allowing a 20-foot setback for a 24-foot wide garage addition, and that we also consider the fact that the road right-of-way in this area is wider than 66 feet, so that creates a unique circumstance for the property. And if you look at the staff report, based on these modifications and this new information, staff is recommending approval. And that's basically all I need to say.
That's for a 24 by 40?
24 by 40.
Okay. Scott?
Hi, Scott Wells with Meadowland Surveying, here with Sam, he's in the back there. Want to apologize for having to come back in front of you. Sam isn't the greatest at public speaking and was a little confused by the whole thing and didn't really know how to handle it. So he asked me to go with the CDC meeting and we explained the right-of-way width and some neighboring structures that are as close or closer to the right-of-way. So yes, he would like to still proceed with the variance and would appreciate your consideration to approve the variance. Sam and I couldn't remember how the discussion went at the CDC. We thought it was 25 feet. It was the width for the garage from the house. I see Larry's report is 24 feet. What's going on is Sam's family is expanding and he's gonna be taking over a large portion of his current garage and making it living space. And that garage is 25 feet deep right now, and that works good for getting his truck and everything in there, so he was hoping it could still be 25 feet deep. He's gonna be entering from the south. Right now, we have, as you can see on the survey that we had done, he enters from the west. So I guess with that,
When you say he's changing the way he's entering, is he entering then straight off the road, or is he?
correct.
Okay.
That's the plan, is to enter directly off of Shorewood Drive.
I think the issue of 1 foot one way or the other is negligible, so you can do what you will on that. The rest of the information in the staff report, including the findings, would remain the same.
And so you're requesting 25 feet, not 24 feet for
Yeah,
a 19-foot setback?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess discussion or questions from the commission? Or a motion, for that matter.
What is the right-of-way length or width in this?
Right-of-way is 82 feet in this.
Yeah, in this area, it's 82 feet wide, 42 feet from center line on the north side of the road and 40 feet from center line on the south side of the road. That's how the city acquired it from the county. I don't know why the county made it 82 feet and not centered, but it is what it is.
The next question, we don't have a current rule on setback averaging on the road side of lake property, do we?
We don't.
So, yeah.
Are we interested in looking at that?
I don't think so. I was just what, when it was
I'm
mentioned
glad to
that
hear
we
you
were
say
talking.
that.
Right. It was just that was mentioned that there's other properties that are set back closer and.
Yeah, that's, that it's meeting the harmony of the neighborhood, I guess, is that argument, yeah.
Okay, other questions or comments? Or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request with a 19-foot setback to allow 25-foot depth.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to to approve the variance with a 19-foot setback to allow a 40 by 25-foot garage at 600 Shorewood Drive. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
For the record, is that you're using the city's findings for that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, item 4B, well, actually, let's just jump to 4C, since you guys are here. Consideration to the request from Trey Garns authorizing a one-year extension on a variance to allow a 15-foot, that's not yours? Which one is yours? E. Oh, you guys are the TIF resolution. Okay. Well, is anyone here for items B or C? Let's just jump to the TIF resolution then. Item 5E. Resolution of the Planning Commission finding the redevelopment plan for redevelopment project number 44 and the tax increment financing plan for tax increment financing district number 44-1 conform to the general plan for the development and redevelopment of the city. Larry, can you give us a rundown?
Essentially, this is the project that we approved a conditional use permit for a 36-unit apartment building that overlooks Holiday Inn and the lake. And basically, it fits the comprehensive plan, but in order to consider tax increment financing for this project, we have to make a finding that it conforms to the general plan of development for the city, which it does.
Okay. All right. Discussion, questions, or a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion in a section to approve the findings for this TIF district. I'm not going to reread it. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, you're welcome.
Classmates, but not Trey.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, let's jump to 4B then, consideration to the final plat of Long Lake Acres at 2445 US Highway 10.
This is a three-lot commercial plat on the north end of Long Lake. Staff recommends plat approval, subject to the owner obtaining the required Pelican River Watershed District permit and also obtaining a land disturbance permit from the city.
This is the one we reviewed recently that had the, there was gonna be storage
Reviewed it
buildings.
last month, and it's private owners that plan to build storage buildings there.
Okay. All right, discussion, questions, or a motion?
Nothing's changed from last month?
Nothing has changed, except that they have submitted the final plat with all of the necessary surveying information on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat based upon that they are obtaining the required permits and land disturbance, permits. And I so move.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Item 4C, consideration to the request from Trey Garns authorizing a one-year extension on a variance to allow a 15-foot side yard setback and a 20-foot rear yard setback in an I-1 light industrial district for construction of a 10,400 square foot flex space shop condo at 1070 Randolph Road and 1065 Fortune Avenue to August 12th, 2026. Larry.
Correct, and this was a variance from the rear yard and side yard setbacks for that flex condo project.
I remember that one. Okay, well, questions, discussion? Motion?
I will motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the one-year extension to August 12th of 2026. I guess it's slightly more than 1 year, but pretty close. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything anyone wants to review in the variance or conditional use status report? Liz isn't here. I thought Dan would fill in.
Give me a minute if I'm trying to fill time.
No, not at all. Okay. Jen, would you maybe see if they're ready to come back in?
Thank you. Sure you are.
I meant to come in Friday, and then I realized about 4:30 I didn't. Okay, I will reopen the public hearing, and thank you for coming back so quickly, Mr. French.
Okay. I'm wondering if we can move back into the conference room where it's less intimidating.
Yeah, this dais is not necessarily the most,
So my apologies for being rattled and challenging Larry like I did. I just felt like I could have been better prepared if I'd have had that ahead of time.
understand.
As it turns out, after reviewing it, it basically supported what Larry claims in his staff report, right? His response to the variance. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and move forward, see if we can put you in a position to consider approving what we're asking without still feeling like you're undermining your planning staff, because the planning staff put some work into this. Obviously has, very valid points. What I hope to do is project our position with you and show you that the hardship and the uniqueness is worth, a serious review. So what I'd like to start with is, if you don't mind, I'd like to start kind of review the memo that Larry wrote after the community development meeting, committee meeting. And I just want to address a couple of things in that. And then I would like to go to the staff report and address some of the things that Larry, that the staff, planning staff had put in the staff report. So as far as, first of all, as far as the information from the DNR, I want to just get something clear right now, and that's, I want to make sure that you understand that, there is, the number 16 is in there. We realize that we can't go more than 16 in the first place. We're very aware of the fact that, that area, again, some of the points that the DNR and Larry can make are, hold true. We don't want to do anything to disturb, or we want to do the very least to disturb anything environmentally. So 16 is the most, 13 is a need that we have today. So 16 would be gracious, we really appreciate it, it will help us in the future, but it's consistently gonna be 13 to 16 is what we're looking for. I wanted to make that clear. So starting with the memo that, the letter that Larry wrote on June, in regards to the June meeting, it says that our request for 13, the request for 13 slips on their controlled access lot, which includes 13 points, some of which are not all correct. And what I was pleased about that was that means 8 of them were very valid, okay? And hopefully we'll address some of those. Recreational development lake, a 20,000 square foot lot is required. Again, I want to review the fact that our lot is 33,000 square feet. That's 65% more than what's required. Number 2 was, since this is a controlled access lot, increasing the number of slips is not allowed. Understood, this is exactly the reason that the variance process exists. Larry also stated in the Community Development Committee meeting last month that private homeowners have no limit as far as what they want to put on their property for docks. We all heard that. And that basically we're private homeowners, although this is a controlled access lot, but we're private homeowners and we all own that lot, 26 of us. Do we want 26 slips out there? No, we don't. We don't want a dock with 26 slips. You know what we're looking for there, but it just seems a little bit conflicting with what a private owner can have versus what the 26 of us can have. Okay, there's other controlled access lots, including but not limited to East Shore Drive, Villa Lane, the Preserve. The reality here is that there's no other controlled access lots that possess the uniqueness that we possess in regard to limitations, hardship, and community planning. What others do need in the future is not really relative to our situation, and I don't think should be considered in your decision. I understand, we all do, we all understand that, I mean, you can say, gosh, if we do this for you, we've got all these other controlled access lots that want more, that they can do the same thing. I think after you hear me out today, you'll understand that they won't come to you with the uniqueness and the hardships I think that we possess. The fact that the association may have been in non-compliance for several years is irrelevant. Again, I am not necessarily trying to make it relevant, but I just, and I admit that, you know, ignorance is no defense, but it's relevant in the sense that for 4 years, we had 11 slips and not one person complained about the number of boat slips or any DNR information or pushback on environmental disruption. Also, as far as the governance goes, the framework is currently in place, and yet they're out of compliance on the regulation. Well, our governance does not apply to anything outside of it. It applies to what happens on our property with our dock. That's all that really, that's all the governance is really there for. It's our framework. So there's a difference between a controlled access lot and PUDs. We understand that. So you should note the Golden Bay Shore PUD was approved 42 units and 28 boat slips. If I'm the DNR and I'm looking at Kerfman Lake and I got Golden Bay Shores that wants 42, I'm probably gonna be the first one to raise my hand and go, that can be disruptive. So to move that over to Detroit Lake and give them 28 units for their 42 needs, I think is commendable. And that's 67% coverage for that community. If we're granted 16, that's 62% coverage for us. So that's just what I wanted to address on that letter. So this is, again, our reply to the staff report after we submitted the variance. So under answers and statements, item number 1, the variance request is not in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance. When controlled access lots were allowed, the only way to add additional slips was to enlarge the lot size. And I understand that formula. We don't challenge that formula. We have utilized 11 slips over the last 4 years. I addressed that. And it has been, the sentence before that. In 2018, the city amended the shoreline regulations and eliminated controlled access lots in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Over the last 4 years with 11 slips, there's been no effect to health, safety, and welfare of the community. There are no other controlled access lots in the lake that would also be interested, or there are other controlled access access lots on the lake that would be interested in having more slips. For example, the East Shore Drive, Pembina Trails Beach Club, 17 members, 6 slips. Shorewood Drive, these only serve as a fraction of the owners, okay? These controlled access lots reference are on Detroit Lake and have several public access points. We're on Kerfman Lake. We have 0 public access points on Kerfman Lake. If the water is high, which it is every year at some point, there's a period of time where half of us with a little bit larger pontoon cannot get under the bridge, under Long Bridge. So what that does, if we do not have a slip and we have to launch our boat, right? We can't even get to the Kerfman Lake that we live on because we can't get under the bridge and there's no public access. That results in a practical difficulty and is unique to our property and no other controlled access lots. So these controlled access lots reference are on Detroit Lake, if the water is high, right? So nor do these lots possess the hardship and uniqueness that we have on Kerfman Lake. And that's in regards to what was referenced here. Number 2, the variance is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. To conserve the economic and natural environment values of the shorelands and provide the wise use of water and related resources. There is, in our opinion, they're factual here, but there is no evidence that we currently compromise any of the preceding factors, nor is there any proof that additional slips requested, this amount anyway, would compromise the comprehensive, or would compromise them either. The city council has determined that no additional controlled access boat slips are permitted, so adding more to the existing controlled access lot is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. And again, I just have to say that's exactly why the variance process is in place. The applicant does not propose to use the property in a reasonable manner. The requested variance would enlarge a use that is no longer permitted by the zoning ordinance. Okay, we've addressed that several times already. Additional slips will be allowed, more boat traffic on Kerfman Lake, and potentially disturb important fish spawning areas. The number of slips requested will not have such impact. Again, we've been operating with 11 for the last 4 years, and there's no proof that we've disrupted anything. I think at the end of the day, it just logical thinking is that another 11 to 5, another 5 is not going to all of a sudden be a burden on the spawning and the environment. Here's the Golden Bay Shores information again. Adding more slips for motorized boats is not reasonable, given the past actions with regard to motorized boat slips to prevent over the use of lake degradation in fish spawning areas. You just went through the whole DNR point on that. Point taken. 28 was a considerably high number of boat slips. We're asking for two to up to 5 more than we've been doing over the last 4 years. And there is, we're asking, oh yeah, and by the way, we're right now saying you can document that, put that in your public record that we said 16 would never expand over 16, because again, we're reasonable and intelligent people and realize that there's really not room to go over 16 anyway. So number 4, this is probably the most the most time I want to spend. The circumstances are not unique to the property. The property is a standard controlled access lot and does not have any unusual features that make it difficult to meet the standard of allowing 6 boat slips. So I'm going to go through the following points that demonstrate circumstances that are unique to this property. Our controlled access lot is 33,000 square feet, 65% greater than what is required. Bridgeview Estates developers initially planned for 13 residential homes on 13 lots. And at that time, the 13 lots were allotted 6 boat slips. It then expanded to 26 homes on 13 lots. So these 13 lots that were all going to be single-family homes, the developer changed gears and said, hey, we're going to put up twin homes. So we now have 26 residents. At that time, there was tax base increase, doubled, right, for the community, but there was no discussion about an allowance of more boat slips after that. That discussion never took place, in our opinion. That should have happened. It's not on us as the homeowners, but it was on the developer. They failed to address it, the need for more boat slips for 26 owners. I think that no other controlled access lot has that unique circumstance. Kerfman Lake residents have a unique hardship to access the lake. Water levels from mid to late June usually prevent pontoons from navigating under Long Bridge. This was also the case in 2024. 2024, we only had 6 all year, simply because of the boats that couldn't get under the lake for almost the whole year. And that's not an uncommon situation. So even if we had 16, you're not gonna see 16 there starting Memorial Day going to Labor Day. That's never gonna happen, simply because of the way that the water levels go. Would like to have the opportunity, but it doesn't present itself like that. Okay, since there's no public access on Kerfman Lake, we cannot enjoy the lake that we live on when the water levels are high. By restricting the Bridgeview Estates residents, taxpayers to 6 boat slips, you're requiring our residents, who are all seniors, to always store, then trailer and transport their boats and pontoons to the public landing, the public launch, then pull and retrailer the boats and then transport them to the storage for each use. Bridgeview residents and access lot owners believe this is a unique, unreasonable hardship circumstance supporting issuance of the requested variance. We aren't a designated senior 55 and over or whatever, but I think the economics show that it probably will always stay that way. Although Bridgeview Estates is not formally, okay, there we go, I just said that. Okay. The fact that there are more owners with a fractional interest in the property who wish to have boat slip is a problem created by the owners and is not unique to the property. That's in the staff report. We feel the problem was created by the developer when the units were increased from 13 to 26 with no follow-up to access more boat slips. It may not be considered a practical difficulty, but it is definitely unique to this property. The variance does not maintain the essential character of the neighborhood, as adding additional slips will alter the aesthetic of the area. A dock with 6 slips is entirely different than a marina with 16 slips. A 16-slip marina would cover much more shoreline and would not be aesthetically pleasing to the neighbors and the lake users. Okay, so this is very important. Our rebuttal, the approval of this variance will not cover any more shoreline than it covers today. And I'm kind of gonna go through this with you when we get done here. The variance will actually increase the essential character of the locality by maintaining its green space with no clutter. And by clutter, what I mean is if we have 16 people that would like to be on the lake and have their pontoon in the water or boat, whatever they have, and we're only allowed 6, then that beautiful 33,000 square foot lot, that's nice green space that's used for gathering, fire pit, picnic table, they're gonna be staged pontoons there sitting on trailers throughout the summer, and that's gonna be clutter. So if they're in the water, it's obviously going to increase the essential character of the locality by maintaining its green space. This will also enhance the extended locality by eliminating additional congestion around South Shore Drive Public Boat Landing. The total number of slips will not exceed that permitted under the variance, which is 13 to 16. All slips will be seasonal and removed at the end of each season. The existing shoreline and vegetative buffer will be maintained. No fueling, fuel storage, waste disposal, pump out facilities will be permitted. In short, the proposed variance will enhance and maintain the character of the locality and the area around there. And we also have, by the way, there was something else in there, about neighbors, and I can't see where that is, but we have letters from the neighbors on both sides that have agreed and have 100% support for us getting this variance and having 16 boat slips. I've got the signed letters with me if you need to see them. So I had emailed Kelsey Clem some pictures. Did he get those to any of you today? I asked him to send them to you.
Kelsey is not
They're
in-
actually pictures of our lot.
He's out of the office.
Kelsey's out of the
I
office.
didn't get an out of office reply, so, gosh, I have them on my phone. I don't have my phone with
Explain
me.
it a little bit.
But, pardon?
I've got the pictures, but it's gonna be hard off my phone.
Yeah.
But I could kind of explain it, cause I took the pictures if you want.
So here's what I'm gonna ask. I think, you've gone through the letter and your points in some pretty great detail. I'll give you a couple more minutes if you want to, if you would like to come up and talk too, but to just kind of explain, make your final case so that we can discuss that if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. Only thing I want to let you know is, as far as the issue with the size of the dock slips and what it would do, how it would alter the shore and the aesthetics, it's not going to, because, you know, with the shoreline being right here, we are already at this point right here. We just don't have this, okay? So we're out as far as we're gonna be out. We just don't have this part. And, so I don't see where it's gonna change any of the aesthetics. And when you drive by this lot, it's rather narrow. It's a narrow lot. I don't know the dimensions of the depth, but I think it's over 200 feet. And then 90 at the water and 68 at the street. But there's trees on both sides of it. You've got kind of an alley that you can pull into to get to the picnic table, whatever, if you want to bring something down there. We have some trailers that are parked inside the trees, if you will, so they're not, I mean, they're very, it's not very unsightly. You can barely see them. So as a person drives by, they can't even really see the marina that much or the boat slips that much unless you stop and you really look out there. Otherwise, you're seeing a really nice green lot that we maintain on a regular basis, both mowing it and cutting the weeds down and that. So does anybody have any questions?
Well, I tell you what, then, if you're done, if anybody else has any parting
Anybody else wanna
comments.
Say something that.
Can I just ask one question? Larry,
Sure.
when you sent out the letters to all the homeowners in the area like I got, did you get any pushback for this variance? Did anybody not, or send you a letter or contact you that, was against this variance?
I have not received any comments.
Thank you. Okay.
I'd like to just say one thing.
Can I ask you to come up and state your name and address for the record? Yep.
My name is Doug Frenchu. I live at 1852. If you guys would have got the pictures, and I took them, because nobody has got a visual of it, but you didn't get the picture, so I'm gonna kind of describe it off of this. If you come down, our dock is 4 feet wide. On the one side, there's reeds up right to the dock, literally. And on the other side, it's probably within about 3 feet. We have not maintained, or not busted up the shoreline. We're probably, I doubt we're 10 feet wide there that we're disturbing at the most. And it's probably more realistically like at 6 or 7 feet. We're not disturbing the shoreline. When we had the 12 of them out last year, the only difference here was, because I have worked with the dock people putting it in and out, is we were 16 feet longer. We told them just leave the last 16 feet off. So technically we would be adding a little bit of length, but just to where we've been for the last 3-4 years now with the 12 that we've had in there. And we've maintained that shoreline. And like I said, if you had the pictures, that would tell 1,000 words. But I'd pass my camera around, but I don't think you guys want that done. So unless you do, I'll pass it around. But if you don't, then I just can only try to describe it.
All right. Thank you. Sir, can I get your name and address for the record?
Randy Peterson, 1833 Ridgeview Boulevard.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other last comments? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for the commission to discuss. And if we have questions, we'll definitely ask away.
Okay? Should I sit down
Yeah,
at this point?
feel free. I don't know if we're gonna have questions or not, but let's go ahead and discuss.
So I can hear.
Fair enough. We'll do our best to use our microphones. Discussion from the commission? Or a motion?
I guess initially I've got a couple comments. The process of the zoning and shoreland ordinance and all of those things are for a purpose to create regulation for what we want to do, both for restricting people and then also giving guidance on what the regulation is, on what's going to be or needs to be done. This process of granting a variance is permanent. It goes with the the property forever. So we might be one thing today, but it might not be something in the future. So we're granting something that is forever until something changes that. Correct, Larry?
Yes, that is correct.
So making a determination on what things look like right now, I think is, one justification for asking for a variance because you don't agree with what the regulations are in place, and that's what we're doing here tonight. There's regulation on how we can use our property. So by using our property to store boats in the, all year round, that really isn't a thing that, you're not gonna be actually able to store boats, 33 boats there, or 40 boats, or 6 boats, or whatever. That's not something that's allowable by ordinances. So where I'm going with this is the burden of providing reasonable allowance for a variance is on the applicant. And we are here to judge whether or not that is a valid reason, and then we pass on our recommendation to the city council to make the final determination. I don't know, I think you feel like you've made a justification for your variance, but based upon the information that I see in front of us, I don't necessarily see the practical difficulty in meeting all the tests. And I'd be open to hearing what other people have to say on the commission up here to get your understanding as well.
I agree.
Okay.
It comes down to the use of the property.
Make sure you use your
Is
mic.
there a practical difficulty? And I think the DNR summed it up really well to me is yes, the heart of the use of the property of changing or adding those spots really comes down to preferences and financial, of some of the decisions that were at the start, not necessarily with the rule. So to me, they haven't met the test to say that they can't use the property. They have the 6 that were there originally that met that rule at that time. I think also tied to that was the calculation that the DNR came up with that would say that the lot size would need to be up to
65.
65,000, I think it was
65,000 square feet at
265
that time.
feet
So
wide.
I think that's a telling sign for me, so.
Okay.
I have a question for Larry. Larry, of the 6 slips that they are currently granted to use, are those 6 slips assigned to any specific property, or is it up to the association to determine who gets to use those?
Well, as Jack mentioned, there are multiple owners of the access lot.
Right, I understand that.
I'm not sure how they allocate who gets the slips. I believe it's on a first come, first served basis, but I'm not entirely sure. But that's a matter that's outside of the zoning ordinance and outside of our issue to address.
Yeah, I was just asking if they're actually assigned to a parcel
Right.
No,
or not, okay.
Okay. Further discussion or a motion?
I'll
to
make a-
explain that further, each of the owners has a fractional interest in the lot,
I
and that's
understand
it.
that.
And then,
I'm talking about the homes.
yeah, the homes do not have a specific slip assigned to them.
I'd be willing to make a motion to deny the variance request based on the findings of fact by the city.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the variance based on the findings of the city. Any further discussion on the motion by the commission? All those in favor of denying the variance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion carries. Next steps. So this is the recommendation of the planning commission, which is to deny the variance. This will go back to the CDC, which you visited us last month. That will be Monday, August 11th at 5 PM in that conference room right back there. And then from there, the CDC will make a recommendation that'll come to the council on Tuesday, August 12th at 5 PM, right back here in this chamber. Any questions on any of that?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
You coached me a little bit on this, but what motivation would the Community Development Committee have to see in our favor after this meeting?
I mean, there are times that the Community Development Committee will disagree with the Planning Commission. I think this one's a tough one, because that findings of fact, as Dan was pointing out, you know, the practical hardship is a tough barrier to overcome. And it's one of the areas that I think all of us as commissioners struggle with, is putting on what we call our quasi-judicial hat, which means that we have to look at those findings of fact, and we have to look at the actual ordinances. And so it's not the legislative hat, for example, that when I'm sitting, that we make when we're making new zoning ordinances or changing. So if we were to change the zoning ordinance, that would be the legislative side. We get to argue our points, we get to you know, have our opinions. But in this case, it's interpreting the law or the intent of the law. And so that really is, I think, the antithesis behind the findings of fact that Larry has presented us, and the motion that was made and passed tonight.
Just for clarification, were there 5 no's? I mean,
Well,
were there
I'm-
five in agreement with denial?
I'm the tiebreaker, so it wouldn't make a difference.
Because I didn't hear what were the results of the 2 votes?
Yeah, so what I heard was 4 votes for denial.
Okay, 4 votes for denial.
Right.
I just wanted to get understanding on that. So it really wasn't a tough one. Right?
I can weigh in on that part.
Go for it.
It is a tough decision, because we take the information here, we take the information that was presented by the DNR, we take the information presented tonight by you and the people in the audience. We need to look at that and look at the rules or laws that are in place, and then we are up here judging whether or not an exception should be made. So the real part of this process, and the best part to actually do, is try to get that ordinance changed. And that has to go through the city processes, through a change recommendation to this body, and then the city council. And that's why, you know, getting up on my soapbox on why local government is so important, is because we're telling you what you can and cannot do on your property. And there's things that happen that when people, you know, I've been in this room many times where there's one person in the audience, and then they get up and leave after their thing is done. And it looks like city government is done in a vacuum, and it's done behind closed doors, but it's happening out in public here, and we put in time, you know, we're not being compensated for this time to judge what the rules are. And my point is, advocate for your position, go to the city council level next, and that's where the final determination is going to be made. Talk to your people that represent you, and if you don't like the decision, advocate for the change of the policy, and then you can do whatever you want after you have expressed that and got the rules changed. Go ahead.
I would point out that it is rare that the city council votes against the planning commission recommendation. And it is especially rare when the vote is unanimous, but that's just for you to know.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Well, go ahead, you had a question?
Sorry.
So basically.
I didn't want to give you false hope.
And so like now the new information from the DNR, we have till the next meeting, to get the facts to whether or not we'd actually do any harm, and then support and give that information to the next meeting, which would maybe give us a different outcome, correct?
Well, that's always a possibility. Like Larry said, it's pretty uncommon that it changes. You know, this public hearing process here is really the place that's designated for you to come and advocate. That said, it's not uncommon for the chair of the CDC or the mayor who's chairing the city council meeting to allow you an opportunity to advocate for your position, especially when the vote's opposite of what you're asking for. And so if you have materially new or different findings, you know, facts, something that would that you believe would change it. And I would really recommend that you study that DNR letter very hard, because I think he outlined it incredibly well. That would be what I would recommend you bring to the CDC and or the council meeting. If you don't find much new, I can't speak for everyone else, but I don't know that I would see either of those bodies recommending a different opinion than.
In many communities, the planning commission recommendations go directly to the council without that step between.
That,
Can I ask a question? Which part of the government decides they're gonna put all these new access points on, Detroit Lake, like the newest one by the Holiday Inn and stuff, that allow all these other people that come in and don't pay taxes here to use the lake, but yet the people that pay taxes for the last 50, 60 years here can't put another couple boat slips on?
That is the DNR.
So the DNR is the one that decides, and so they don't think all these additional people from Fargo and all these
I'm not gonna, I am not gonna defend I'm not going to defend the DNR or try to pretend that I can think like the DNR, so.
it's a good question, though. Thank you. Yeah.
Question, and this would be for you, Larry, is the letter from the DNR, is that one person in the DNR's opinion? In other words, if we went to
They
the
don't
DNR,
typically send,
rebuttal.
they don't typically send a letter just based on one person's opinion. They usually vet that with other people in the organization.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else for the commission, Larry?
I have nothing else.
Anything from any of the commissioners? All right. This meeting is adjourned. Yeah, you bet, Jack. Thanks for being here.